Everyone talks about creating offers, but most people have no clue what actually makes an offer irresistible. So today I'm going to be working with my videographer, Kedrick, who's usually behind the camera, but I'm going to summon him to be in front of the camera with us so that we can help him map out his offer and then put a blueprint into action step by step. And action.
Oh,
That
hello.
worked. Hi.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you for summoning me.
You're welcome for summoning you. Thank you for being in front of the camera. Tell me what your business idea is, and let's come up with some irresistible offers and a marketing plan.
The business idea is pretty simple. It's going to be legacy films for people in the last stage of life, people who have already planned their will, who have state of attorney, and who may even have their casket purchased, but we want to record their stories before they leave with them. Instead of their grandchildren having just a few photos of them here and there, they have a very full picture of who their grandfather were.
Okay, so I'm thinking about my Guido, and I was always filming him in his last days, weeks, months, years, because I knew that was going to be so precious. So that's really cool that you're doing that. Here's what I would do first, and I didn't even want you to go for very long because I wanted to just first see what we could start to ideate with ChatGPT. I'm going to show how I would ideate this. Okay, I am creating an offer for creating legacy films for people that are in their last stages of life, that their family wants to come together to create these assets that are going to leave the family with a legacy. So instead of just looking at photos, they're going to have
wisdom distilled from their grandparents captured in 4K. You're gonna have all the stories that kind of made them who they are and shaped their character passed back down.
So see, I just brain dumped into ChatGPT. Here's what I want to do first. So more than just outlining the offer, I want ChatGPT to give me a hook that is really going to tug at the heartstrings and be a disruptive hook. With what you do, it could be seen as a vitamin and we need to sell painkillers. Because if it's just like, oh, that's a nice to have, we need to make this a must have. Can you please give me 10 ideas for hooks that are going to position this offer as a must have, not a nice to have? This is something that we want them to hear this offer and just absolutely salivate over, take my money. I need to have this because I can see the long tail impact this is going to have on my family. I can actually transfer the emotion that I want to feel from whatever it's going to give me, because ChatGPT is like garbage in, garbage out. So I'm saying like, I want this to be a must have, not a nice to have. I want people to feel this way. And also notice that I said, please give me 10 ideas for hooks, because if it just gives me one, I have to keep going back and forth with it. But sometimes it might be like, oh, I like this part from number 1 and this part from number 4, and I can ideate it. And the other thing is, when I get that many options, I can use some of it for content, some of it for videos, some of it for different sales pages.
That's right.
All right, now here's the most important part when you're using ChatGPT. There's a sound effect you have to make when you hit the enter button. Do you remember what it is?
Ring.
All right. Imagine having the wisdom of your grandparents in their own words, preserved forever, captured in stunning 4K video so your family's legacy lives on for generations. That's not there yet for me. Please know that when you're working with ChatGPT, you teach ChatGPT the kind of content that you want to get out of it. And actually, some of my favorite things to tell ChatGPT is I want this to be more disruptive, polarizing, and non-obvious. And the reason why I say non-obvious is because a lot of content out there is just fluff. All right, so this is okay, but I need you to make it more disruptive, polarizing, and non-obvious. Remember that we are trying to sell a painkiller and not a vitamin. Please try again. Photos can't talk. They can't share the wisdom your grandparents could or pass down the real stories that shaped your family. Only a 4K film can do that. Okay.
Already.
Liking these more. You'll spend thousands on a wedding, a house, a car, but when it comes to your family's legacy, are you really gonna let those stories die with them?
That's very good.
That's better. That's so much better. So I really like coming up with non-obvious domains.
Non-obvious domain.
Right.
Okay.
So instead of just like legacyfilms.com, which is kind of obvious, I want to come up with something that there's almost like a punch. All right. Can you also come up with 10 options for some domains, some URLs that are going to really capture attention? They're going to have a hook right in that domain and almost feel like a gut punch of, I have to click on this link and take action right now. Please make them polarizing, disruptive, and non-obvious. Legacyorregret.com, beforetheyfade.com, capturebeforegone.com. Memories can't wait. Film it or forget them. Some good ones in here. What's the next roadblock or thing that you're trying to figure out in the business that we can help work through next?
The next thing I'm trying to figure out is if I should be marketing to the senior or the adult child who's going to be paying for the subscription.
Because I can see it being important to the individual that they want to leave their legacy and they want their stories to be passed on, but then also important for the loved one. So I think it's both, but that's where the content is just going to have different hooks on the front end. But over time, as you're marketing, that's going to be one of those things that you start to discover in the marketing that you might hear from one more than the other, and then you focus your hooks and your content more to that demographic.
That makes sense.
But because this is new, you'll kind of have to walk it out to find that out. Can you come up with 5 content ideas for each of these different demographics? I want to create content for the person who wants to leave the legacy, the person who knows that they're kind of in their end season of life, that they want this to be filmed. And then I also want you to come up with content directed to the demographic that they want to capture maybe their elderly parents or grandparents' legacy. We need to create content for both of these demographics for this offer. Can you come up with content that is short form reel ideas? I like coming up with that because it's like the bite-sized content that maybe it's a skit or maybe it's a reenactment or one of those like point of view kind of reels. And what's cool is creating content is like you're fishing. Like you're just throwing out hooks and seeing what gets the bite.
Right.
So that then you make more of it. Okay, this is cool. For the person who wants to leave a legacy, time is a thief. Show a fast forward clock ticking as a voiceover says, time is stealing your memories. Will you let it take your family's stories too?
Holy crap.
Gut punch right there. I feel like these will tug at the heartstrings of both sides.
Absolutely.
Because I asked for it to make it for each of the demographics, but I feel like they will be inspired by the other. So that's good news.
The next thing would probably be determining what the 3 offers or 2 offers could look like in the business. So I already know the standard could be a 30-minute thing that says, let's say there's 5 stories in that 30 minutes, so each one gets 5 minutes. What if there is a whole different way for me to reimagine that? What if it's like, we can do a 60-minute version and that maybe is the high ticket offer? Maybe it's some of those things that just does not require that at all.
So a few things come to mind for me is when we have different tiers of offers, we want to make sure that it is so different that it's not just like, oh, I'll just get the cheaper one. We don't want to cannibalize the high ticket offer by having a lower ticket. So sometimes it's like, this is just our one offer because this is what we do best. And the best result I can get for you is when you buy this one that includes all these things. We also don't want people nickel and diming it to be like, oh, I'll just do this one or what, because what kind of price point do you put on a legacy? The other thing that we could consider if we are going to have different tiers is, like I mentioned, we want to have it differentiated enough that it's so obvious. Like the difference between a book versus a digital course versus being in a room in person, learning in person. Like you can't compare a book to like working in person with someone.
That's right.
So typically if we're going to put tiers, we might want to do like a do-it-yourself, done with you, done for you. When someone is creating content but they're not building an email list, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, let me fix that for you right now. Because even though if you build a following on social media, you don't own that following, but you own your email list. I want to come up with some lead magnets for you as well that's going to build your list. But first, let's come up with maybe 3 different tiers of offers that are like a do-it-yourself, done with you, done for you. I want to come up with 3 different offers that we can provide to these demographics. We need them to be differentiated enough that people aren't going to nickel and dime over pricing. They need to just be very different delivery sources. So for example, maybe we have a do-it-yourself that is like a list of the questions for them to ask their loved one to pull the stories out of them and just a little instruction on how to film it on their iPhone. Done with you maybe is something where we get on a Zoom and we pull the questions out of them, record them, and then we do some of the editing and give them a package of like long form and short form materials. And then done for you would be like the premiere offer where we can come out to them in person or they can come out to us and we bring our whole camera crew, we have the whole family be a part of it. Our directors, our photographers, our producers are filming all of it for them. We want to give each tier a name that is sentimental. It also shows the increase in value and status as they reach a higher tier. And we also want to include bonuses inside each tier that makes each offer irresistible. The Story Keeper, the DIY offer. So they get a legacy film guide, a DIY filming tutorial, a memory vault, bonus 1-hour phone consultation with a legacy film expert to guide them through their first session, which is interesting when you include a call into an offer. Sometimes that call is a Trojan sales call. because then they get a glimpse and then go, you know what, you're the professional, I just want it done right. All right, the heirloom keeper, the done with you, 2-hour Zoom session, professional editing, custom legacy box, nice. The bonus is 1 short form legacy teaser video for social media. Ooh. If you made those and then also shared them, those are the things that are gonna tug at the heartstrings and make other people want them. It makes me think of, have you ever followed Humans of New York?
Yeah.
Social media?
Photographer?
Yeah, so the photographer, he takes a picture and it's like just a beautiful photo or something that's capturing a special moment. And then he interviews them and tells their story, and then he writes it into this beautiful caption, maybe something similar with your content. And then the done for you offer, the legacy crown, full day legacy film session, personalized family documentary, family participation filming, legacy premiere, legacy book, on location hair and makeup. Okay, that's valuable. Custom creative family documentary trailer for social media.
Wow.
I could see that being so good.
Yeah.
Seeing these 3 tiers, what's like your next question?
I think that I've already identified who the core audience is going to be. And I think I've identified the core message that I want to have for them as well. So I think that I would be ready to move on to the marketing strategy, especially if we're going to be doing, like, are we starting organic and then moving from there?
The way that I would start with marketing this is definitely always organic. You will always get the best validation of your offer when you start marketing it organic, because first of all, you didn't have to spend money on ads, and you can go to people that are close in your network, whether you do a couple projects at a beta founding member pricing kind of thing. Never free though. I don't typically do things for free. The reason why is because people who pay attention. I actually have found that the people that I give free help to are the ones that I have the worst time with, because they might take it for granted. They might not realize what they have. They end up being more nitpicky than the people that just paid and value what they invested in. Even if it's a discounted or a beta pricing, some kind of thing like that, I always make sure that I have the very clear deliverables laid out. Also, in what you do, it could be very easy to be like, oh, can we just do one more video? Can we just,
That's right.
that scope creep. What I would probably do first for you, there's the different kind of traffic channels. We have organic, so just social media content, communication with people, like people you know, friends of friends, or referrals. Amazing. Like, that's the best way to go when you're first starting.
Right.
Then there's paid, where you can run ads or you can have a booth at an expo or some kind of thing, which can be great. I typically don't put money into ads until I've validated organically, because that's a very slippery slope. It's just like keep spending more money. And I've gotten myself in a lot of debt because I threw money into ads before knowing that my offer worked.
Right. And like you were saying earlier, it's so easy to find all these different hooks with chat to figure out which ones are going to work best while you're doing it organically before he really boosts what's on it.
The other thing that's really, really valuable when you're working to validate things organically is when you are communicating with your target demographic. So let's say you have a woman in town that she wants to make videos of her grandfather or something like that. When you're on a sales call or having a conversation with her, ask her the questions that tell you why she wants it. And I would record all these calls. You actually should record all sales calls for just compliance purposes and things like that too. The exact words that she's saying can become your copy. The same way that I write into ChatGPT, I can take the transcript of a sales call and put it into ChatGPT and go, what were her biggest desires? What were her objections? What were her pain points? And
brilliant.
Some of the biggest times that I grew in my business, like if I was ever in a rut that things weren't selling as much as I wanted to, I got on sales calls and I got to hear directly from the demographic so that I could change my messaging. Because if something isn't selling, it's like, well, why? Do I need to change this bonus in the offer? Do I need to add a bonus? Do I need to stop saying this that I thought was valuable, but it turns out they actually want this? For example, with me, when I had a YouTube agency, I would say, oh, we'll rank your videos and use this kind of SEO. They don't care. They just want to know that their videos are growing their audience, because having a bigger audience will relate to more sales.
Yep.
So they didn't care about what ninja SEO stuff I was doing.
Okay.
So similar thing is like, if someone just keeps saying to you on a sales call, like, I just want to capture these memories, it's really important to me for my grandchildren, you just keep repeating that of like, our priority is to help you capture your memories for your grandchildren.
I see.
And they go, I feel so understood, because you are just repeating back to them and confirming that you understand what they want. So we have organic, we have paid, and we have other people's audiences. OPA, who has your demographic? Who can you go to that already has the customers that would also be your customers? Maybe some of the old timer restaurant, like the restaurants that have the seniors discount.
Exactly. That's right.
You could totally do something with those restaurants or those Elderly homes, churches.
Elderly homes.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be something where you're like, hey, would you mind if I came in here and like advertise to your people? But how can you provide value to that place first? Have you ever seen the show Better Call Saul?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh man, I love that show.
So Better Call Saul, he wants to start doing elder law so that he can do wills and make wills for these elderly people. Saul Goodman, he shows up to these homes and he like does bingo for them. It's easy for that elderly home, retirement home, to just be like, oh yeah, here's a guy that we like. Maybe even do create some content for the home.
Yeah, like provide value, like you said.
I don't know, for me, it feels exciting when I start thinking about other people's audiences because I'm like, oh, I know this person that I could just ask, or I could totally drop by and ask who the right person would be to connect here. I love networking because I see networking as a win-win. How do I just orchestrate a win-win situation where I could say, hey, I have this service. Do you think that it would be a value for your people or for you? I'd be happy to give you a little kickback, a referral fee, or before you even make that offer, you start offering value to them so they trust you, that then by the time it turns into like, hey, what could I do for you? Well, actually, I have this service where I create legacy films for people, and I happen to know that you know a lot of elderly people that maybe this would be a good fit for. Can you think of any? And if you do, I would be happy to give you a little referral fee. You could get so busy just from that.
Let's say I identify this in your home. So when I first want to provide value, I wouldn't tell them about my business. I would tell them, hey, I can make some videos for you guys.
Let's figure out how to position it in a way that isn't just like, who's this guy that wants to come and make some videos? Let's ask ChatGPT. Hey, I want to go into retirement homes and I would love to be able to connect with the leaders that work there to be able to provide value and build a relationship with them so that in the future I might be able to offer my services for legacy films. What would be some ways that I could show up and provide value for them before offering my services so that I build that trust? One thing that I did when I was trying to build a relationship with someone that I wanted to be my mentor is I first looked at what mattered to them. I found charities that they were a part of, that then I got involved with the charity. Sometimes when I wanted to meet someone, I became a customer of theirs. I got involved in their business by, being on their email list, writing on their social media, creating content like that they could see that I was actively engaged with them. But it wasn't just like, hey, I want to get to know you so that I could sell your customers.
That's right.
And sometimes though, there isn't anything wrong with straight just going in and saying, hi, I just want to introduce myself and this is what I do. And I was wondering if there would be a way that I could leave some brochures or something like that to...
In exchange value, that's right.
All right. Educational workshops.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
That could be
That's
cool.
a great suggestion.
Preserving family legacy, how to document your loved one's story. That's basically your lead magnet.
Right.
What you would put in like an ebook or a checklist or something that they could download online, you just turn into like a 45-minute presentation. And then at the end go, would love to do this for you. Free legacy story templates. Collaborate on a memory wall or a story corner project. Look at that. Host free memory lane interviews for residents. Free content for their social media. Sponsor or support community events. That's awesome.
That's brilliant.
So organic, paid, other people's audiences. I feel like you don't even really need to do paid for a long time.
Sounds like it.
And when you do decide to do paid advertising, it's only after you've for sure validated it through organic and other people's audiences, and only when you need to scale, because you could just keep going to other people's audiences and scaling completely free, which obviously you get more of an ROI when it's free.
That's true.
That was really fun. That was so easy to do. And guys, this is just how I brainstorm so much content in my business when I'm creating other offers for myself, for clients. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I'm gonna link another video here that shows how I ideate my content even more with ChatGPT. See you there.